Why do you think you were still clocking in?
Oh, sometimes I wish I were.
You don't need to leave this early.
Oh, didn't I tell you I'm training to be a night watchman? Well, one thing's certain, whatever time I get there, Bob Fraser's there an hour earlier. Gives him a chance to think up all the questions, you see, so he can pick everybody's brains.
Don't let him pick yours.
Well, I haven't got much choice, have I, love?
Oh, you're too soft.
Oh, on the way you're concerned. Scott Furlong, they call me Captain Bligh. I might come home early tonight, take you to the pictures.
Oh, I believe that when I see you.
Did you get those abstracts round to the minister?
Yes, sir.
And I shall want the clippings of his speech yesterday.
Very thick with the minister these days. I remember when he was a fumbling old deadbeat.
Well, that was before he got keen on the veto, before he signed his intention to proceed. Yes?
Major Farrell is here to see you, Mr. Wilder.
Oh, ask him to come in, will you? Major Farrell would like a word.
Yes, I've got one for him. Short, 4 letters.
That's no way to speak of a security officer, Don. No, hold on, wait. Come in.
Morning, Mr. Wilder. Morning, Mr. Heston. I'm checking up on classified file distribution. Yes, there are 2 out under your signature, sir.
Yeah, the costing ones. What about it?
May I see them, sir?
Oh, I'd like to think all this rigmarole was necessary.
Ministry thinks so, sir. Standard procedure.
In triplicate, I suppose.
Well, Mr. Greening, Ministry Security is arriving this morning, sir. He may be here for 2 or 3 days.
Are you asking me or telling me?
Part of all defense contracts, sir. Ministry Security have the right to check on all arrangements and personnel.
All right, Farrell, but keep him out of my way. We're far too busy.
I'll try, sir.
If you're going to Scott Furlong's, I thought you might like tea a little earlier.
Oh, thank you, Miss Parsons. It's very kind of you.
Oh, and I brought you some biscuits, too.
No, thank you. Not this morning.
Oh, are you sure?
Quite sure, thank you. Fine. You might get a signature for those.
Yes,
And you
sir.
know my telephone number, and you might inform the military that we'd like a sight of the documents of service personnel involved.
Very well.
And ring up Scott Furlong's. Tell Farrell I'll be late.
But you won't be.
No, Miss Parsons.
Why are you pestering me? If you want armament weights, ask Sugden.
That's not as easy as it sounds.
You come running to me.
I've tried asking Arthur. He did a lot of this work during the war, and I didn't.
Look, all the details are down on paper. If you don't understand them, that's your lookout.
It's not that at all. It's just, are we working together or aren't we?
All right, Fraser, I'll play at schoolmasters for you. I'll tell Sugden the next time I see him.
Thank you. I'm sorry to bother you with it.
I'm sure you are.
Good morning, Farrell.
Oh, good morning, sir. They telephoned to say you'd be late.
Yes, I managed to get a car after all.
Let me take your coat.
Thank you.
I've just been checking on the issue of green files.
Oh, don't let me disturb you.
No.
I'd like a list of all personnel with full security clearance,
Yes.
please.
Now, sir.
What about the provisional clearance people? These ticks a document issue, I presume.
Yes, sir, against the signature. Here's the register.
Keep the file on the move, don't they? Not so sure I like that.
Well, sir, this VTOL project is rather urgent.
That's the usual excuse of people in industry, Farrell. Urgency. They use it to excuse negligence, carelessness, and laxity. Urgency has nothing to do with us. May I see a list of the trade union officers?
Yes.
please? Any known affiliations?
2, sir. They've been moved. No fuss.
Are there any provisionals on the limited clearance list?
5, sir. 3 from the drawing office. They've all been cleared from previous jobs. The other 2 are doing VTOL work as well as civil. Reeves is ex-minister, so he's okay. The other's Sugden. Well, he's General Works Manager, so I don't think there's much to worry about there.
I can't find the dockets from Ryan's anywhere out there.
Oh, well, there must be somewhere, mustn't there?
Well, I haven't seen them. She never said anything about them. Margie, I mean. Too rushed, I expect, what with the telegram and everything.
Well, she still left a list of jobs for you to do, didn't she?
Well, I'll go and have another look.
Morning, Arthur. What are you up to then? Where's Margie?
She's in Scotland, her sister's ill.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, so am I.
I wanted to talk to you about this armament weight.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, I thought if we can work out a pattern where we can simulate it in the early test.
Oh, well, you might pick up something from those books there on the shelf. That's what I learnt about it. Late at night, mostly.
Well, the credentials seem in order, but what's all this folderol? A letter asking full cooperation.
It's a gesture of courtesy Sir Frederick likes to make.
But I can read the small print. I know what security is supposed to do.
Good.
Yeah, so why don't you get on with it quietly?
Industry, I find, always regards security as a quiet matter. Above a certain level, that is. A file left in a taxi by a director usually creates far less fuss than when a workman steals 10 pounds worth of lead.
See, philosophy, too. But don't worry, I know this is our first defense contract.
Of course.
But you're not the first security officer that I've met.
People don't like security officers, Mr. Wilder. Not as a general rule, that is. And this is a feeling I like to encourage. We're not engaged on a convivial undertaking.
Well, this is a sales talk. I must say it's very original.
Oh, no, not my line of country at all.
Perhaps that's just as well. Miss Lingard,
Yes, Mr. Wilder.
tell Mr. Skinner I'll see him now, will you? Very well, Mr. Greening.
Hello, John. I've seen that chap before.
Yes, they make them to order for the civil service. A production line churns them out somewhere near Backshot. He's the bloodhound variety. Sit down, Peter.
He was at the first ministry meeting on costs, asked about investment sources.
He would. He's security.
Nothing wrong, I hope.
No, just a routine checkup.
Good. We're working on contract figures now.
Yes, I've seen the report.
Wouldn't like anything to go wrong.
Oh, it won't. I was talking to the minister only this morning.
Oh, he's one thing. Civil servants are another. We're still vulnerable on costs.
Sorry to disturb you, Mr. Sagden. We're checking on document issue. There's one out to you.
Oh, yeah, which one?
Vibration dampers for armament mounting.
That was last week. Didn't you get that back?
Not according to my records, huh?
Oh, I thought I told Miss Thomas
Would
to
you
make-
not have returned it yourself, sir?
Well, you see, the Major's office is right over the other side of the building, and I've got a lot of time to keep on running back and forwards there, haven't I?
Well, we can easily check on it. May still be here.
Yes, right, I'll have a look a bit later.
Would you mind checking it now, sir?
Do you mind, Mr. Sagden?
May I? Standard classified file?
Ah, yes, the thick one.
It's not here.
Oh, hang on a minute. Miss Wilson, bring in that list that Miss Thomas left for you, will you? Oh, I found.
Let me see that.
Yeah, well, let's just wait on a minute, shall we? Right, Miss Wilson, thank you. I think you'd better tell me who your friend is, Major.
Mr. Greening, Ministry Security.
There we are, security file underlined.
It looks from this as if it was meant to be returned. If, as I presume, this is a list of jobs to do.
Well, it could have been misplaced.
Why, wait, Tom, what do you think you're playing at?
Mr. Sugden, a classified and important file is missing.
Oh, well, it's not in there.
Perhaps you'd be good enough to show me.
It could have been mislaid, Mr.
Not
Sagden.
security files, not if they're dealt with, they should be.
Right. Now, do you want me to start picking up the floorboards?
Mr. Sugden, I understand you're the General Works Manager.
Oh, when I'm allowed to get on with it?
Then you should understand that this is a very important matter.
Well, have a look in the security office. It might be in there.
It's checked twice daily, morning and evening.
Who left that list of jobs?
Miss Thomas, my usual secretary.
Where is she?
In Scotland.
Mr. Sugden, I'd like her address, please.
Her sister's ill. She's got enough trouble as it is.
Mr. Sagden, please.
I want that address. Has anyone else got a key for this?
I didn't know. It's a security cabinet from Ryan's.
Check the general key list, will you? And on your way out, get rid of that temporary secretary. Use any excuse. And then lock the outside office and come back here and we'll have a thorough search.
Ah, now, just hang on a minute. Miss Wilson stays where she is, and no doors are being locked.
As you wish, Mr. Sugden. All right, Farrell, I'll stay here.
All right, sir.
Sugden, I'd like the full address and name of your usual secretary. I think you'd be very well advised to help us. This is a very serious matter.
As far as I'm concerned, any sort of security is welcome. Think of what our competitors pay for some of the paper lying around here.
Checking on window cleaners next.
A lot of firms do. You can use a camera just as well from the top of a ladder. And research is worth money, no matter where you sell it.
We have special glass and special contractors and a paper shredder. They're becoming standard like fire extinguishers. It's not the equipment so much I mind, it's the people I'm not very keen on.
It's their job, I suppose. Are you sure about these contact overheads? Seems a lot of money to me.
Well, it's an estimate, but keeping people happy costs money, especially these ex-service wallers. My liver's beginning to look like a very old potato crisp.
It's a very expensive one.
Yeah, well, you have a toe at it.
No, thank you. I must be off. I'll see you at the meeting on Thursday.
Yes, whatever he says, I'm not keen about security. You know, I saw my own dossier at Gregson's once. Popsy, I knew. And they knew more about me than I knew myself. They never asked me a single question. Every stupid thing I'd ever done was listed. And I couldn't argue, because nobody ever asked me. Ooh.
I see. Now, you're positive about this? Yes, I know. I saw it myself this morning. All right, thank you. No one else is working on that file. No one else has even seen it.
You seem easily convinced.
I am. I've examined every security cabinet within the last 8 hours before you arrived. Except Sugden.
I don't like this. I don't like anything about it. At best, it almost amounts to criminal negligence. At worst. However, don't let's jump to conclusions.
Sugden is General Works Manager. It's a very responsible position.
His attitude's hardly responsible. I don't like it. He was too hostile.
Oh, quite a few people regard our job as interfering.
Yes, workers, labourers, but General Works Managers, no.
He's very highly regarded here and in the industry.
I place little weight on reputation, Farrell. The good fellows of this world are subject to folly as anyone else. Is that a direct line?
Yes, sir.
Get me Miss Parsons, will you? J4621.
Yes, sir, I understand. I have the resume here. Yes, I'll tell him that. Is that all? I'll see to it at once, Mr. Greening. Oh, Captain Hanson, please. Miss Parsons on behalf of Mr. Greening. Oh, Captain Hanson. Oh, good afternoon. I have a missing document incident. Mr. Greening asked me to say he'd esteem it a favor if you'd take immediate action. Yes, I have the notes here. Category, defense contract. Organization, Scott Furlong. Subject, Arthur James Sugden. File number...
Those men want poking around everywhere.
Seeing if we got mice.
Oh, have we?
Miss Wilson. Did Miss Thomas leave a telephone number with you?
No, Mr. Sugden. Major Farrell asked me the same thing.
Come in. Will you sit down for a minute?
Thank you.
You're from Scott Furlong, then?
Well, we're connected with them, yes. Will Mr. Sugden be very long?
About an hour, if I'm lucky.
That's lovely, Shawker, your garden.
Oh, you don't know my husband. When would he find time?
Yes, we've heard he's busy. Does he bring much work home?
Too much.
Did you ever see any of it?
I wouldn't understand it if I did.
I don't suppose you got much chance to go out.
No, not much.
His friends come here, then?
Sometimes. Why are you asking me all this? What is it? What's Arthur done?
Now, Mrs. Sugden, what should he have done?
I don't know. What do you want?
There's nothing wrong, Mrs. Sugden, just a few questions.
I don't believe you. I'm going to ring my husband. Arthur? Arthur?
Good evening,
Ask
Mr.
them what
Sugden.
they want.
Good evening.
Oh, well, what's all this about then?
They've been asking questions.
Oh, they? Right, get the police then, Mary.
Oh, now, there's no need to do that, Mr. Sugden.
We're just making inquiries about a private matter.
Right, we'll make it public then, shall we?
There's a security file missing.
Now, why don't we talk about this reasonably?
If you want to ask me questions, you can come to my office. Don't come snooping around in here.
Well, sometimes people take files home.
Well, I don't.
You're home early.
We were going to the pictures.
We won't do any harm if we have a look around.
Not in here. This is my house.
Briefcase, Bob.
All right, now get your hands off that.
This isn't going to do you any good, Mr. Sugden.
Well, go on. Do you see any security files?
We'd still like to have a look round.
Now, listen. This is one place where nobody owns me. This is mine.
Suppose we didn't want to tell the wife too much.
Of course.
He does bring work home, and she does see it.
And Sugden came home an hour early. Odd he should choose this particular evening.
Pictures, he said.
Doesn't strike me as being a cinema goer. I don't like it.
The wife getting upset didn't help much.
Did she appear frightened once she knew, I mean?
Yes, she did.
And Sugden himself?
You wouldn't frighten him. No, what he was wild about was the intrusion, calling it his home.
Yes. Invasion of privacy. Yes, I can understand some resentment, but not to this extent. Oh, dear, no. Not from a general works manager. I should have expected full and automatic cooperation. What's his house like?
Well, they're comfortable. Live fairly well.
Religious, would you say?
No sign of it. Didn't act like a pacifist either.
And she says, what's Arthur done?
Yes.
The report through from Glasgow, sir. File in Sugden's office when last seen. Miss Thomas, not very cooperative.
Thank you, Miss Parsons. I don't like this, Mackenzie. I think we better have a look at our friend Sugden now. I'll get along to Scott Furlong's. Miss Parsons will give you the full dossier. And thank you so much.
It's going to be warm enough in that car. It's bitterly cold out.
Yes. Yes, all right, that's fine. All right, thank you very much. Goodbye. Well?
Not very good news, I'm afraid.
I didn't expect it would be.
I would like Arthur Sugden suspended immediately.
You know, you're sitting in the wrong chair to give those sort of orders.
I'm afraid I must insist, Mr. Wilder.
You can insist as much as you like down at Central Security, but all it'll get you here is a sore throat.
Well, perhaps suspend is too strong a word.
Oh, that's better.
Perhaps we could persuade him to take indefinite leave.
No chance. We've got far too much to do. I'm not going to hold up on installations while you look under beds. Arthur Sugden's work is far too important.
Ours has some importance, too.
I'm aware of that.
I can understand some sort of loyalty to staff.
Well, that's rich. I don't even like Sugden.
Well, in that case...
But I dislike interference even more.
I'm afraid I can't let the matter rest there, Mr. Wilder.
Is that a threat?
A defense contract of this magnitude imposes certain obligations on the contractor.
And we fulfill them, all of them, given good reasons.
This is a security matter, Mr. Wilder, and I'm not obliged to give any reasons. Oh, dear, no.
Any sort of trouble at Scottsville along now, especially security trouble.
It isn't as bad as that, Peter. We've got their intention to proceed.
And bad security is the one valid reason for its withdrawal or postponement. Either way, a lot of money's at stake.
I must say I was most disturbed.
How did you find out?
Oh, Sir Frederick had a quiet word with me. He likes to settle these things at a certain level, if he can. It avoids unpleasantness.
I find it difficult to believe about Sugden.
It's their job to find out. They should know.
Well, the matter's still under investigation. But Sir Frederick thought that a word in the right ear might prevent misunderstandings in future, while there's not being too helpful, apparently.
Miss Wilson,
What is it?
where did this come from?
I haven't seen it before.
Have you been in that office all the morning?
Well,
Have you been in the office all the morning?
I did go over to the typing pool, see my friend.
God, you would.
I don't think you'll find there'll be any delay with the reports. Hanson's been very helpful, very helpful.
Well, there's another better.
There's your file. Turned up in my office this morning. Now listen. If you or anybody else from your department comes snooping around at my home upsetting my wife, there's going to be more trouble than you ever bargained for.
I don't think you're in a position to utter any warnings.
I've got a clear conscience. I don't have to put up with being treated like a criminal.
The file was not in your office yesterday, Mr. Sugden.
It would have looked better if you'd allowed somebody to examine your house.
Oh, just because you say so. This is a free country, isn't it?
I thought you two were twitching a bit. It didn't take Greening long to put the message out.
Very reason to twitch, as you call it. Reputation for lax security is very difficult to live down.
And the last thing we want at this stage.
Aren't you conceding a little quickly?
Sir Frederick wouldn't have mentioned it to me unless he were conscious of its importance.
Oh, come off it, Gerald. You know how quickly anybody can put a buzz along the grapevine.
Don't underestimate their powers, John. In matters of security, we've no recourse in the courts or anywhere else.
I understand you've refused to suspend Sugden.
I still do. He's far too busy.
You could change your mind.
Would save a lot of fuss and bother.
Definitely not.
Well, it's a very strong line to take on behalf of one man.
Well, I thought that would interest you, democracy and all that. I thought we were supposed to be the unswerving champion of the individual.
On security matters, I've always found it wisest to support the proper authorities. And I would have thought you were hardly a staunch advocate of democracy.
I'm not. But I will not have a little greasy man threatening me in my office.
Well, the file's back anyway, so that's one problem solved.
Oh, the file doesn't concern me overmuch, not as a file. Its use is that of a keyhole, a lever, tripwire. It's meaningless in itself. All documents are. It's the effect they have on people, the use they make of them. Take Sugden. Begins typically enough. The usual working class objection to any form of police action. A dogmatic resentment of encroachment of privacy.
Nothing sinister about that.
Ah, but there is in his case. He is a man of some authority. As such, he should understand some of the problems of authority. If he hasn't got this understanding, then he's not a fit person to have security files at his disposal. But having a look at it now, it should be most interesting. The file in this case was a keyhole, and we shall look through it and see a whole room. Good night, Farrell.
Good night, sir.
Where's Mr. Sugden?
Gone home. And about time, all that shouting about one file.
Who was?
Mr. Sugden. And Major Farrell and the other man. I'll be glad when Margie Thomas gets back, I can tell you.
I came in to ask about her. Is there any news?
She'll be back next week. I wish it were tomorrow.
Well, I'll see Mr. Sugden in the morning.
Said they telephoned twice, different men.
Well, what did he tell them?
He said if you want to know anything about my father, ask him yourself. He said they were polite.
Oh, father, be polite, all right.
But they've got their file back. What are they keeping on for?
Oh, I don't know, love. It all goes on behind your back.
Oh, you've no need to worry, love. You've done nothing.
Of course I've done nothing. Don't say I have. They don't say anything.
Thank you, Captain Hansen, for your cooperation. Yes. Yes, of course I'll tell him. Thank you, goodbye. Gentlemen, Miss Parsons.
Usual sort of background for that part of the world, except for his father. Sugden Sr. was a bit of a firebrand. He led 2 strike committees. He was imprisoned in 1927 for obstructing the police on a picket line. Employers were a bit chary of using him even when there was work about. He's well remembered in the district, quite a figure, in fact. He died of some lung complaint before the war.
Industrial disease?
Yes.
And Sugden himself?
Quite active in the union when he was on the shop floor. Negotiator at area level when he was quite young. That might account for some of the arguments he used.
I deplore this tendency to execute an attitude because of youth. However, go on.
He volunteered for war service. Didn't need to. He was in a reserve job. Once he got in, he stayed in the same job. He was nearly court-martialed once for negligence and, or rather insolence, and refusing to accept authority. He was considered for a commission but turned down because of this. At the end of the war, he was in hospital for about 3 months with what we used to call shell shock. They call it combat fatigue or something nowadays.
Oh, malingering.
I've checked recent files, and there's a record of his reply when asked to join the reserve during Korea.
I regret I'm unable to accept your very kind offer to return to service life. There's a very simple reason. I've watched men being killed for 7 years. 4 years afterwards, I'm in a position to see how useless it all was. The rearming of Germany, the change of enemies, the same old political war cries. No thanks, yours, etc., Arthur Sugden.
I think we'd better have a photostat copy of that, Miss Parsons. And his family?
Well, the wife was a bit jumpy, so we didn't try her again. We tried the son, but he wasn't having any. Complete lack of cooperation. There's quite a file on the brother. He has rather a lot of dealings with our friends.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I'm sorry to bother you for this resume, but it's a matter of some importance.
We can have a complete report with references by this afternoon.
That'd be right. The profile, as our American colleagues would call it, is not a very impressive one from a security standpoint. Oh, dear me, no. I think we have a valid case, circumstantial but valid. I'm rather pleased we decided to have a look at our friend Sugden. Miss Parsons, I'd be glad if you'd take the necessary steps to inform other departments that all security clearance has been withdrawn from Arthur Sugden.
This is an instruction to me, Mr. Sugden. These files are ministry property under the terms of the contract. I don't like this any more than you do.
Oh, well, what am I supposed to do now? I shall need a lot of that stuff for the new work.
I don't think you will, Mr. Sugden. I think they're taking you off VTOL work. I'm sorry.
You must be an idiot, Fraser. What the hell made you do a stupid thing like lifting a security file?
I'd asked you to speak to Arthur. I was getting no help at all, and I needed the figures.
Have you told Sugden yet?
No, I was going to.
Well, I wouldn't if I were you. He'd probably murder you, and I, for one, would help him.
Do you think it's the file that he's in trouble about?
Well, he won't get any medals for it. I've got security here to see me. Wait in the waiting room. Miss Lingard will fetch you. And stay there, Fraser, if you want to keep your job. Miss Lingard?
Yes, sir.
Ask Mr. Greening to come in, will you? What's all this about?
Not very good news for you, I'm afraid.
Look, don't try and be funny with me.
I had no intention of being.
Then what's all this about?
Well, our regulations require all personnel on military contracts in certain categories to have full security clearance. Sugden's provisional clearance has now been withdrawn.
What sort of an asinine decision is this, and who made it?
It was done after a full investigation.
By the Russians, I presume. Look, if you really want to jeopardize the VTOL project, getting rid of Sugden is a good way of doing it.
I'm quite prepared to accept that from the technical point of view.
Decent of you.
And equally, from the security point of view, you must accept our findings.
Must, Mr. Greening? Did you say must?
You are an expert in aircraft, Mr. Wilder. We are experts in our field.
Which means that you can take Sugden's job away from him.
I regard that as an oversimplification. A specific job, a military one, is no longer open to him.
Even though he's the best man in the country for it?
Not from our point of view, I'm afraid. Oh, dear, no.
Now, just a minute. Miss Lingard?
Yes, sir.
Ask Mr. Fraser to come in, will you? Come in, Fraser. Tell Mr. Greening what you just told me.
Well, I had to borrow the armaments file. I didn't like to ask Arthur.
Why, may I ask?
Because Arthur Sugden doesn't like having his brains picked.
I see. I'd like you to go down to Major Farrell about this. The key?
They were cabinets from Ryan's. I got the spare key when Bill Ryan got fed up with the red tape you needed for replacements.
Tell Farrell that, too, will you?
All right, Fraser. I want to see about this later. Well?
He volunteered this information, I presume?
No. We tortured him for about an hour. What do you think?
Oh, it's been known, a sort of misguided loyalty.
Not between those two.
Oh, it makes it all the more thing if it's a question of not being friends.
Look, Fraser is telling the truth, or is that too simple for you?
No, I accept it, but it's no longer important. However, I'm very glad that it's been cleared up. I must have a word with Farrell about this key issue system. I don't like it. I would prefer a central point of issue for documents.
So Sugden's clearance can be reinstated?
I'm afraid not. The file was only a beginning.
Very well, Greening. I'm afraid you may be in for a bit of a surprise.
What do you mean you can't touch it? Well, you're the association's legal advisor. I want some advice. Now, look, Joe, I don't care about subsection 11 or what... Yes, I know that it's a defense contract. And they don't have to give any reasons, I see. Oh, all right. Yes, I understand. Thank you. Goodbye. See what I mean?
You used to be very big in the union, Arthur. Perhaps you could put some pressure on there.
I've tried them.
What about your MP?
Him too. Everyone except the Fire Brigade.
Well, they must know it's crazy, Arthur. I mean, you of all people.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But they don't, you see. You can hear it in their voices. They're not quite sure. They don't want to get involved just in case there might be something in it. I've been on that thing solid all the morning. I've been working my way down that list. I was dead sure I could get every one of those people on my side. Now, by tomorrow, it'll be all round the industry. Who'd have thought it? Old Arthur Sugden's a security risk.
Well, Wilder will do what he can.
Him? I should he? You know what he thinks of me? Probably laughing his head off at all this. Somebody else doing his dirty work for him.
Yes, indeed, Gordon. Nevertheless, there's a growing concern at a very high level indeed that security should be strictly enforced. I mean, particularly in the light of certain recent...
Scandals. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. The whole system's too soft. It's far too much weeping and wailing about police powers and that sort of thing.
Glad you could come, John. This is a worrying business.
Yes, wait till they come knocking at your door. Well, I see we're all here, the advocates of keep the ministry happy at any cost.
This is business. I would have thought keeping the customer happy was a sound enough business principle.
Not when they can dictate to you who works for you and who doesn't.
This is security, John. It's not a question of interfering with management. It's a question of helping it.
Security? It's absolutely ridiculous. You all know Arthur Sugden.
Oh, I thought I did. But how can you be sure? How can we know what they've dug up?
By dragging it out into the open. Listen, the ministry want that aircraft just as much as we do, so let's take a gamble. Insist on a full investigation, then we'll get away with it.
Why?
Because if we don't, and this is the point, we shall have them on our back for the rest of the contract. Not your bodies, Gerald, not the minister and his staff, but all the small fish with the big powers. Every pension-happy bureaucrat will be poking his nose in.
I think you're exaggerating.
Look, you've never gone through an official contract, have you? If you don't watch it, they'll bog you down. It'll cost you thousands. It's their job to dish out red tape. Let's make a stand now.
You mentioned the word gamble. Are you so sure of the outcome?
What? With Sugden? I've had his northern integrity shoved down my throat till I nearly gave him a hymn book for Christmas. Of course I'm sure.
And I'm completely opposed to this. Completely. At this stage, we have to cooperate and make it obvious. It's a pity about Sugden, but there it is. There's too much money at stake. You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs.
Which is damn bad luck if you happen to be an egg.
I agree with Skinner.
I should be loath to interfere with the due processes of law.
What law? What's legal in this rubbish? It's not on a statute book. What law?
This is security. They make their own.
And you accept that?
Well, not only accept it, I'm heartily glad of it. There has to be security. I'm surprised you don't see this.
Extraordinary circumstances call for extraordinary powers. Now, I have full confidence in the British system. Those powers are not misused.
You try telling Sugden that.
But this isn't the point. Right or wrong, if we don't get rid of Sugden, we're going to run into an expensive delay.
I mean, we must see that it's done as quietly as possible, of course.
Yes, let's do it all very quietly. The answer's no, Skinner. If there are any knife jobs to be done at Scott Fairlong, I'll do them.
I'm sorry, John. As chairman, I'm empowered in special circumstances to call an emergency meeting of the executive board. I do so now.
What about Corbett? He's managing director.
I've cabled Corbett. His reply and proxy vote are here. His opinion is that this matter is not sufficiently important to be allowed to jeopardize the VTOL project. I must therefore move for the suspension of Arthur Sugden on security grounds.
Seconded.
Vote.
Oh, don't bother. Just write. Rest in peace on the minutes. I don't think I've ever seen such a timid exhibition.
You're a bad loser, John.
Yes, I know I am. But I want one favor. Give me 1 day. If I can't get Sugden's clearance reinstated by then, I'll sign that resolution. No meeting unanimous, an executive decision. That would suit you better, wouldn't it? No formal decision, no vote. Nice and quiet. Nothing to leak out to your more idealistic constituents.
Now look here, John.
You can't fight the machine.
No, but if you pull enough strings, you can slow it down.
That's a reasonable request, John. I'd like this thing done informally. I think all our interests would best be served if this matter could be handled with discretion. I give you 1 day.
No, sir, I do see that, yes. Is there? Oh, no, sir, I have full confidence in our findings. Yes, you have my personal assurance of the validity of our case, Sir Frederick. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much, sir. Goodbye. There seems to be some agitation in the case of our friend Sugden. Some string pulling. Well, we've seen strings pulled before, haven't we? And the department hasn't let me down yet.
No, sir.
Yes, of course I understand your position. But I find it difficult to believe. I'd have thought you had more backbone. Well, I'm sorry if you take offense at that. I see. Now listen. You are on a very handsome retainer for a very nebulous sort of work, so start earning your money. Huh? All right. I accept that. You let me have a formal letter. Good. Goodbye. All the little men. All the timid little men. We have just lost the services of a very expensive lobbyist, the sort who scrubs the Prime Minister's back. He's resigned rather than being involved in a security matter.
Well, that surprises you, doesn't it? Nobody's quite sure, you see.
I'm sure, Sugden. Miss Lingard.
Yes, sir.
There'll be a very suave young man from the ministry here any moment. Whiz him straight in, will you? Oh, don't worry, Sugden. I'm not going soft. I have my own good reasons, the usual selfish ones. And I just found another. I wouldn't like to join the gutless wonders at the other end of that telephone.
Mr. Wilder?
Yes?
I wonder if I might have a word with you.
Oh, don't worry. Both these gentlemen are closely associated with the business.
All the same, I'd rather...
No, don't worry. I'll take full responsibility. Nobody's going to slap your wrist.
Very well. The Minister has asked me to say 2 things. This is, of course, completely informal and based purely on your close personal relationship.
I know. Well?
First, it is his policy never to intervene in action taken by other departments, in particular security, which has its own special powers. Second, he'd like to express his surprise that you could think intervention by him either possible or desirable in a matter of this sort.
Please convey to the Minister my most heartfelt thanks. Ah, well, that's a fence that will take some mending.
Well, I've no intention of making it easy for them. Up till now, they've done all the mudslinging. Well, it's time I had to go.
I wouldn't if I were you.
Why?
I was on the phone to Sir Gordon Revage just before you came in. You can, of course, stay on at Scott Furlong as assistant works manager under Fraser, working on sovereign components which are unclassified.
Well, I'm certainly not going to do that.
Good. Because security don't like that much either.
Dartmoor next stop, they are.
Or you could retire. The terms that I've laid down are 3 years full pay and 70% pension after that. But there is one condition laid down by our friend Skinner.
Yes, what's that?
That you resign on health grounds and undertake to say nothing of the real reasons. Oh, come on, Sugden. It's a fair price for keeping quiet.
Oh, well, I used to have a fair price job.
Cut out the sentiment and think of the figures. Yes or no?
If only they'd tell me why that's what gets me.
Yes or no?
Well, there's one thing I learnt from my father. Principals don't pay the rent. Oh, I'll keep quiet.
I think I need a drink. John?
No, look, John, I think I better go with him.
Well, Farrell, that seems to conclude our business. I shall expect a full report on the new system within a week.
I'll see you get it, sir. Was the Sugden business satisfactory?
Oh, satisfactory, no more than that. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.
Arthur? Arthur? What is it? Mr. Henson, what is it? What's happened?
They've forced him to resign, Mrs. Sugden.
Why? What's he done?
Nothing.
Oh.
I'd leave him alone for a bit.
Why have they made him resign? He's done nothing. He's broken no law.
There isn't any law. They make their own.